Hello. What's up? Welcome back. I'm John Stark from MacTheMovieGuy.com, your favorite blind film critic, and that's one of the many lines of dialogue from our spooky season review of Skinamarink. I've seen this film before. I technically reviewed this film, not for tomato meter purposes, but a long time ago. I did have a review up, and I'm going to take that one down so that I can have a review that actually reflects having seen this movie with audio description, which I did. So I've been meaning to do this for a long time with Skinamarink. Initially, it was hard to find the audio description track after when it came to VOD, home video, whatever, and then on to AMC Plus / Shutter, because AMC Plus / Shutter, despite the fact that they're fully capable of running audio description, like they have the setup for it, they just choose to not use their own audio description tracks, which is absolutely fucking mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. My mind is boggled all the time. I'm like, why? These are your tracks. These are your movies. I'm not even talking about like trying to get them to find library titles with audio. Like, this is your film. This is like trying to argue with Disney about their own movies and being like, why don't your Disney animation films have, why are the Pixar movies losing their audio description tracks when they come to Disney Plus? It doesn't make any sense. So, but that's what happens with AMC Plus / Shutter, is their own movies lose their audio description tracks, but they're your movies. So I actually did watch Skinamarink without audio description and reviewed it. It's a pretty fun experience. Not at all. It's a very weird movie to watch without audio description, because it's like all like sound effects, but this film it's a very visual film because there's no dialogue, there's no score, there's some sound effects, it's void of a plot. I would definitely call this film experimental. And after seeing it twice, I never need to see it again. So now that I've seen it once without audio description, which my initial reaction would have been that it's unwatchable, now I've seen it and I get to actually fully embrace whatever the fuck this is, which is interesting and intriguing. It's one of those cases where it's like, I don't like the movie, but I think people should see it, if that makes any sense. Like, I want like the caveat of being able to say, I didn't like it, but I think you should see it anyway, because films like this should be seen. It's an independent film made for like nothing, and it's very experimental, and it's weird, and it's different. And for people who say we don't, we keep having these same non-original concepts, we have these films that are franchises and sequels and reboots and revivals and requels and all those other things, if you're exhausted by those, this is one of the most original films of the last, certainly of the 2020s, likely of the millennia so far. Like from 2000 onward, if I had to pick like the 10 most original films, this would be one of them, because again, it boldly throws away the need for a structure, for a story, for a coherent plot, for easily definable characters, for sort of like a traditional beginning, middle, and end. There really isn't a 3-act structure here. There's nothing really that moves the plot forward. There is no plot. It's just sitting in this experiment for an hour and 40 minutes. It feels like a student film, but that somebody made on the cheap, that somehow transcended, and Shudder took hold of it and then like threw it in theaters, because they were like, well, this has got some really creepy vibes behind it. And it does. It's thematic. But when you actually break it down, I don't know what to be scared of, because thinking about it from the first time I saw it to the second time that I saw it, my perspective was always that because the film, I guess, has child leads, is the best way you could say this, is that the films are film stars little kids. Uh, it, you don't really ever get names or anything to these characters, but I mean, they're obviously kids in this movie. And, I think of Skinamarink as being part of this thing. I used to watch when I was a kid. There was this show, Sharon Lois Brem's Elephant Hour, and I remember they had the song like Skinamarink, you dink, Skinamarink, you do. I remember so fucking much from my childhood. It's very weird and random. So that's where that comes from. And so here, when they slap a 1995 on it, I'm like, okay, so that show would have been 80s, and these kids are a little young to have remembered that, but the director might not be. The director might remember something like that and be pulling from that. So I think about things from like a child's perspective. And if you can perfectly capture a child's perspective of what is scary and what is not, kids are often scared of things that are not scary at all. You see something and you're not sure what it is, and you just have a feeling that there's something at the end of the hallway, but there's nothing in the hallway. You're just a kid with an overactive imagination. um and I always kind of took Skinamarink as exploring sort of the this the what's scary about the normality of just being home alone, and you hear a noise or a bump and you don't know what the bump is, so immediately it's scary. Or you something creepy on the TV screen, right? Or just something out of the corner of your eye, you think you catch it but you don't. And there are some adult-ish characters in here. Nobody's really a character. And they come in, and I think what's interesting is that I feel like it's a missed opportunity, because oftentimes, considering this movie was shot during the pandemic, there's a whole thing at the beginning about how they adhered to pandemic guidelines. Was gonna not age well. I mean, like, years later, people are gonna be like, what? Uh, what were pandemic guidelines? It's like trying to explain to a millennial what the Hays Code was. Uh, so, um, anyway, uh, kids often pick up on and become scared by, because they can read when adults are. When adult is uncomfortable, when adult is scared, when an adult is worried, then kids can pick up on that kind of stuff too. So I felt like there are adult actors here whose performances are just so whatever that, well, that's a missed opportunity. But yet they're used in like all the jump scares. But they're not really, there's no structure. Nobody's ever built into anything. There's no plot. We don't know what anything about in this movie, or what's wrong with people. He's on the phone saying something about like, well, they had to have a few stitches, but there's no context given to that. There's nothing, like, there's no before or after. They look for their mom. There's somebody with red hair in the scenes, and maybe there's a mom and a dad ish figures. I mean, there's just so many random things in this film, and it's there are a couple scenes where the audio description, which is done really well by Nicole Cyril, and it's produced by Audio Eyes, and the writer here was is somebody I haven't heard before writing. And this film is like a showcase for an audio description writer. So I don't know why this person isn't working more, because this is clearly one of the better audio described movies. I mean, there's nothing here. The whole film is audio description. There's nothing. You have to keep describing these random things, which I know are often shot in weird ways from different camera angles, so that you only see like the feet of the children, or you're staring at toys, or something's not perfectly in frame and it's slightly out of focus and it's blurred. So a lot of the choices that the director's making, specifically in this experimental fashion, are having to be relayed through the audio description. So the writer's having to capture that. So this, I think their name was Hunter or something like that. And I just was thinking, I was like, man, this person, so what a missed opportunity. This person should be all over the place, you know, working like nonstop, because this film, if you sit for a sighted person, if you see it in theaters, is going to rely heavily on, uh, you know, this it, different take, you know, not, it's not a very expensive movie. It's all about this uh, visionary directing style and whether or not he can create enough mood to keep you creepy for an hour and 40 minutes or not. I would say not. The only times that I ever really jumped were jump scare moments. They were intentionally, but the thing that you're jumping for is not really that scary. There's nothing really here that is scary. It doesn't really get like helter skelter or anything like that. There's some imagery here that's maybe unsettling, I guess. But the couple of times that you might call jump moments are all accompanied by a loud sound, which is what makes you, because there's no score to the movie. So the whole film is basically just like silence waiting for something to happen. And so if you get a loud sound, all of a sudden it's like there's one where the kid like screams and drops a flashlight, but we don't know what caused him to scream. So he didn't die. So he didn't get attacked by anything. He just screamed and dropped a flashlight. And there isn't like substantial dialogue here. He didn't turn to his brother and be like, I thought I saw something. What did you see? I don't know. I mean, like, it's just, they're little kids too, so their dialogue is really stunted because they don't have the full length of English language supporting them. They just have their little kid knowledge of what language is. So it's a very intriguing film, an experimental film that I think everybody should see. It's just whether or not you'll like it. That's the question. So I recommend this film, but I also didn't like it. I've seen it twice now, and I can't say that I actually enjoy Skinamarink. I can't say that I would ever want to watch it again. That if somebody came up to me and was like, oh, you want to watch Skinamarink? I'd be like, no, I don't. I don't really want to sit through another hour and 40 minutes of this movie again one more time in my life. Like, that's not a thing. That's not on my bingo card at all. If my bucket list was 1,000 things deep, it would not include watch Skinamarink a third time. So how can I possibly give it a fresh score? My first time was without audio description. I didn't have a great time because if you've seen Skinamarink, well, imagine watching it with your eyes closed, which is kind of how we watch films because it's not like I could see anything. So would you have gotten anything out of Skinamarink with your eyes closed? Unlikely, if you're being honest with yourself. So finally I got audio description, which gave me all of the visual elements that I was missing, which is intriguing, but this film still has no structure, plot, characters, anything like that. So while it's interesting, there's still the idea of what am I supposed to be scared of? You can thematically build this thing, but you also have to build tension. And I don't think we ever build tension. I think we just have a film where you don't know what the fuck is going on. So anything is on the table. Like when anything can happen because there is no plot and you're just in the genre of horror, sure, I guess you could get some people scared. But I wasn't spending a whole lot of time there going like, oh my God, what's gonna happen? It wasn't like a nail biter moment for me. It was just like, is anything gonna happen? Oh, good. We're looking at toys again. Oh, there's a Barbie hanging from the ceiling? What does this mean? We're not exploring it. Okay, good. Good to know. Okay, we're going to move on from the Barbie hanging from the ceiling. I mean, are the kids hungry? Do they need food? You know, I don't know. There's so many moments. And it's so weird because the kids are often inaudible. It's in the audio description. I guess they're so quiet sometimes that they actually got subtitled. So the audio description actually is reading subtitles, but this is an English language movie. but the kids are so quiet and they whisper so much that they actually got subtitled because the audio quality is so bizarrely awful. But then, like they're on the phone. Like one of the kids is on the phone at some point in the movie and calls 911, and like I could hear a person on the other end of the phone, like almost clear as day. I was like, this is the best sound we've had all movie. The sound quality coming from a phone is better than anything else we've had. So, it's I appreciate this a lot. I think like it's great for proof of concept, and I'd love to see what this director does with like narrative features. I mean like an actual narrative feature. I'm sure he considers this to be a narrative feature, but I would actually love to see him like tackle plot structure, and story and character development and all those kind of things that we get with traditional film. But at the same time, I don't want to discourage experimental film. It's just I don't want to watch it again. And the rewatchability factor is a thing in life. But I respect the hell out of this movie for being bold enough to do what it is. But I'm not sure he ever thought it was going to get as big as it was. I think when you make a film like this, you know, you can go one of two ways. You can make a film and it just ends up and it becomes like this thing that some horror people have seen, some horror fans, and it ends up on, I don't know, Tubi or Screenbox, or it doesn't get to Shutter, right? Shutter is the golden, well, actually, I don't know, you probably would have preferred Neon or A24 so you could be super artistic, and then the A24 fans would just, it has A24 vibes. To be fair, it does. This is very much A24 vibes because this is the kind of shit that A24 super fans love to eat up. This film has A24 vibes all over it because it abandons structure, which is what a lot of those films do, is they try to abandon, at least in some part, the traditional structure of cinema. Skinamarink does it all together. Skinamarink is just like, I've never seen a film before, but I'm gonna make one. Like that feels like Caveman came out and was handed a camera and was given like a real loose description as to what film is, and has never seen one and is about to make one. That's what this feels like. And when I was in film school, I had to go through an avant-garde class. So I've seen all sorts of weird ass movies. There's a movie that is like, I forget how long it is. It's like 10, 12 hours, something like that. But it's basically, it's a stagnant shot of like the Sears Tower in Chicago, which is, I know it's called something else now. I forget. I don't live in Chicago. Whatever the fuck that building is called. Um, and it's just like overnight. It's just like somebody just kept a camera rolling on that building all night. And that's a movie. That's the whole movie. There are no humans in it. There are no like plots. There's just like whatever moves in front of the camera overnight. And then there are people who go to theaters and they watch that. And that's cool shit. There are people who played with the idea of film, with the idea of actually like putting things on the film or using things like burns. And so like that's avant-garde. And so Skinamarink definitely has more of a traditional structure than stuff like that. But when you look at the other competition and everything else that it's up against, it very much is so far away from everything else. So it's in this interesting, weird place where it's a hell of a swing. It's a hell of a swing coming from somebody who never could have projected that they would be picked up by Shudder, that they never could have possibly imagined that they would have gotten a release that would have led to them, to their film making a couple $1,000,000 at the box office. I mean, you look at something like Skinamarink and you see it as being this. I don't think Shudder messed with this. I think Shudder picked it up as is and released it, and they just got lucky. And I think that's probably what the same can be said for Good Boy. but then Neon picks up Chris Stuckman's film, and then it gets reshoots. So is that because Neon has more money and more time to invest? Or what does that say about as a filmmaker? So a lot of things. And I think because Skinamarink starts so many conversations, I want to stress this. I can't stress this enough. First of all, I love the audio description. I love Nicole Cyril's audio description. Audio-wise, they do this thing where it's like they choose to shout during scarier moments, and it's like, you're basically jump scaring me, you're cheap scaring. It's less fun when it's the cheap jump scare and when it's not rising tension. I like when it's rising tension. And unfortunately, this film just doesn't have any. So every time Nicole does it, it always feels like she's just shouting at me. You know, like there was a scene where, I don't know, there was something that was moving behind one of the boys and nothing's happening. And then all of a sudden she's like, a figure moves behind the boys. And I'm like, oh, God damn it. I don't even know if I would have been scared by that if I could see it, you know, like it's just like whatever. It was, oh, there was something back there, but her shouting at me caused me to go, oh shit, there's nothing happening. So, as most loud noises do, you know, I mean, think about how many times just the crack of lightning, you know, too close to you will be like, will get you to jump a little bit. You're like, oh damn, that was close to my house. So it doesn't mean I'm not like scared. I just jumped. So Skinamarink, I do respect you, and I think people should watch you. So I don't want to make this grade too low, but also I cannot give this a fresh because I didn't like it and I don't want to watch it again. But it's weird because I have deep respect for a film that I don't want to watch again and did not enjoy. But I think we need more films like this. And it's okay for films like this to be rotten. I don't think this film's score should amount to anything. So with that in mind, I'm going to give Skinamarink a 5.8 out of 10. So it's like really close to where I would throw it above because I'm basically kind of telling you maybe you should watch this, but also the same, and I respect this film and I think we should have more films that take risks, but at the same time I can't actually say that I enjoyed my time in the theater. So but something like Skinamarink could lead to something that is as experimental but does work. And if I shut down Skinamarink, then we'll never get anything else like this ever again. So it's a very tough line to walk about where do we put this on the thing. So, but I'm happy I finally watched with audio description. I sat down and did that and made it happen. So let me know what you think about Skinamarink. Do you like it? Am I being fair? Am I being mean? Am I being unreasonable? Anything like that. But are you terrified by Skinamarink? Because if you are, I want to know why. Because I think it wasn't what I wanted it to be. I think because of the kids, I was thinking we came so close to being able to translate all of the little things, all the little bumps in the nights that make kids scared, but there's never actually anything there. You know, it isn't a ghost. It isn't a goblin. There's nothing under the bed, but yet kids are scared of things all the time. And it feels like we're doing that about half the time. And then the other half of the time, we're leaning into it with the fact that there's no structure. So, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys on the other side.